Look who's back again. Your favorite pro wrestling and just fun show. This is the Coach and Bro Show. I, of course, am the coach and my partner each and every show twice a week from russosbrand.com. My main man, Vince Russo. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, Coach, I got to tell you this. Listen, you are my boy. You are my brother. You are my mentor. You are my friend. You are all of those things.
Okay.
But man, bro, you were so into that New Day segment on Monday. I hope I never break my neck and slow you down, bro, because you will drop me like a sack of potatoes. God forbid I break my neck and I miss a show. I don't want to have to deal with the wrath of Coach.
Well, it's so funny that you would say that right off the top, Vince, because something came to my attention in the last 24 hours that has made me, how should I say it, rethink our partnership. And I have a video that before we get into all of our topics, and we're killing it here on Coach and Bro Show. Thank you all for tuning in. But I want you to see truly who this man that's in the other box really, really is. And when I think of the holiday season and I think of everything that we're doing, I think of Vince Russo. Producer man, are we good? Can you give me we're not quite there yet? Okay, we're going to get there in a second. I'll bring it up in a second. It's just a little bit of a tease. But as soon as we get to it, because Vince, I know you've got a lot of shows going on. Okay. But when you allow people in your corner, because producer man is my guy, and now he's your guy. But I cannot believe that your crew did this.
Let's see it. Let's see it.
On the first day of Christmas, Vince Russo gave to me some good weed from Benjamín. On the second day of Christmas, Vince Russo gave to me 2 cameos and some good weed from Benjamín. On the third day of Christmas, Vince Russo gave to me 3 Hardy Bros, 2 cameos, and some good weed from Benjamín. On the fourth day of Christmas, Vince Russo gave to me 4 Crazy Swerves, 3 Hardy Bros.
That's all I can take. That's all I can take.
Magical.
I'm trying to figure out where I even go. The fact that somebody took time on that, the fact that you went through the entire 12 days of Christmas, I was like, this is 5 minutes of my life I cannot get back.
Magical moments, Coach, for the holiday season.
Oh my gosh. You're a producer man behind the scenes laughing right now. He's even got his microphone open. Oh my goodness. I'm going to overlook that, Vince. I'm going to overlook it.
All right. So we're even then. I'll overlook the New Day thing. You overlook that. We're back on track.
I don't think it's even after that.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's even. But hallelujah. All right, we got a lot of topics to talk about today as we head into the holiday season, and the fact that so we're taping this on December 5th. We are 1 month and 1 day away from the launch of Raw on Netflix, and that will officially launch the WrestleMania season, as we like to call it. And there's rumors everywhere, including from one of your boys that you do a show with, that the WWE is moving away from thinking that The Rock will be available for WrestleMania. Vince, every year that this happens, or in the past when Rock was going to come back, I think to myself, even if he can't be a part of it, he's working on a Saturday night that he can't just show up in Vegas. I don't understand it, but what do you make of all these rumors swirling around about The Rock in or The Rock out?
Yeah, Coach, I may be totally off on this. This is all speculation. Coach, you and I, like, we're not these people sitting on the phone 24 hours a day trying to get dirt like that. That's not what we do. We give you insight based on our experience and our expertise. Coach, you know what I'm kind of feeling like? You tell me if I'm totally off base. And I know Rock is a part of the management team.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think that WWE is getting to a point where they would hope that they didn't need The Rock. So in other words, they were so hot, they were so on top of the world, we don't have to pull The Rock out of our hip pocket. And the reason why I'm saying that, Coach, is maybe that's what they're feeling at the current time. But then what happens every time those numbers start going down a little, every time things start getting a little stale, what do? They reach in their back pocket and they pull out The Rock. So that's what I'm taking from this. They hope that they're not going to need him come WrestleMania. But, Coach, I think you and I both know if they need him, they're putting him out there.
6 hours that they have to start filling after the first of the year. And Vince, if they think, when you and I watch every minute, sometimes painstakingly so, of every show, and we still have multiple matches that are multiple segments that go way too long. We're running packages in there that you would have, back when you were writing for the show, you would have been caught dead doing as much as they're doing right now. If they think they don't need The Rock for WrestleMania, they are living in a delusional world. And I go back to two things. Cody Rhodes recently was on the Tonight Show, and they were talking about all the money that the company's making. It's never been bigger, never been better. And he said, you know what? I call myself the quarterback. I'm the quarterback because Triple H and The Rock are calling the plays. I went, whoop, and I rewound that thing. I said, what did he just say? Mm-hmm. He said Triple H and The Rock are calling the plays, and I just run them as the quarterback. And I also think that if this rumor is out there, Triple H and Rock, it's no secret. I don't care what they say. I don't care what kind of united front they're putting on. We saw the documentary, did we not, Vince? That took 2 months to come out because it had to be re-edited. Rock and Triple H do not get along. And if Rock shows up, you best believe he's going to want to be in a main event storyline. He doesn't want to just come out and make an appearance. He wants to be a big part of it. So I don't buy this for a second because in a few more years, he's going to be too old to come out and compete. So I don't think he's not going to be there. Do you buy any of my arguments?
I do, Coach. Think about what you just said. We got Triple H, and Cody Rhodes said it himself, guys. So this is not speculation. This is a fact off of what Cody Rhodes said. Cody Rhodes said he's a quarterback. Triple H and The Rock are calling the plays. Let's look at that for a second. Because now what happens if Triple H calls a play and The Rock wants another play? Who's the guy that's going to decide which play gets put into play?
Oh, that's a great question.
Ari Emanuel. What's the history between Ari Emanuel and The Rock? Which is why I keep saying by the end of 2025, I don't believe Triple H is going to be in that same position. I've been saying that over and over again, Coach.
And the more time that goes by, the more I'm starting to get into your camp on that. And I think that whenever you have a big crossover, a big something new happening, you like to keep the management team in place to make the transition, and then you start to see changes being made. Well, January 6th, those changes are going to be made. So then we have a full 12 months for what you're saying could happen. And I think it's also going to be based a little bit off of, there seems to be some confusion on how Raw is going to be run. And will The Rock be there January 6th? Will Raw be family friendly as they have been saying the last couple of days, which wasn't the speculation a month ago? How much input do you think The Rock is going to have on WrestleMania, but also how Raw is going to be graded once it gets to Netflix, whether it's TV 14 or what they're saying yesterday is going to be family friendly?
Well, again, everything they do is tied into Rock's pocket. Everything they do determines Rock's money. And you know, man, we've seen it in the past. You know, Rock is going to do what he thinks is bringing in the more money. See, that's the difference here, Coach, and you know it because you work with both and I work with both. Here's the difference. Triple H loves the wrestling business. Triple H, I will go as far as to say, is a mark for the wrestling business.
Yeah.
Now, make no bones about it. It's in Rock's bloodline. Rock's family was in it. Rock is also a movie star. Rock also owns dozens of other businesses. So he's looking at this quite differently than Triple H is. And that's why I said eventually the difference of these philosophies is going to cause a separation at some point, Coach.
If people really pay attention to the last 20 or 25 years in videos that are out there, stories that are out there, the one thing, and I've been on record, nobody loves The Rock more than me. He taught me a lot. I love being around him, love working with him. Nobody loves money more than The Rock, period. There just was a video released a month ago where he talked about at the time that he told Vince McMahon that he deserved as much as Stone Cold Steve Austin. And we're talking about a guy who walked in and asked for a raise after like 6 months. Only Goldberg has done that in the history of wrestling. Rock did it because Rock knew where he was going to go. So it's going to be very, very interesting in my mind to see how much input truly, because the last month, Rock's been busy promoting a movie that came out a year later in the Red One with a $250 million budget. And I had some people say, Coach, why would he put out two movies so close together with Moana 2, which had a $250 million opening? I said, well, Red One was supposed to come out a year ago, and something held it up. And so right now, I think Rock is trying to juggle making sure his movies that he stars in are making money, but making sure that, because all of his money is tied into, usually he takes the back end, right? So he'll take a little bit up front. Well, if the movie doesn't make the money back, then you don't get the back end. So I think he's using all these millions and millions of dollars, 30 million to be exact, for this year anyway, with the wrestling business. So I agree with you. Triple H loves it. He loves being there every single show, grinding it out, getting on that private jet every single Monday morning, every single Friday morning. Rock doesn't want to do that.
Right.
Rock's not going to be there so when he weighs in, you got to believe on some level, whether it's Raw or whether it's WrestleMania, Triple H is saying to himself, the dude's not even here.
Right.
And he has a say in what we're
right.
doing.
Yep.
Am I right on that?
Oh yeah, and you know, Coach, unless you've been there, I mean, you know how it is. And at the end of the day, they're wrestlers. They're both wrestlers, and you know the competition. You know the egos. You know how that works, Coach.
I'm so glad you just said that, because a lot of fans that are been fans the last 5 or 6 years, I use the word compete. And I've had people on social media say, Coach, this is not a competition. This is a predetermined show. I said, you don't know anything about the wrestling business.
No.
Nothing at all. It's competition to get the bigger payday. It's competition to get the bigger spot at WrestleMania, which is the biggest payday. And I still believe, and maybe I'm looking too far back, but Vince, I was there the night that Rock and Hogan, the biggest match still in the history of the business, happened. I was in a pre-tape with Rock right before that happened. I said, what up, G? Better than anybody's ever said, what up, G? And then after that, I think it's a legacy crippler for Triple H. And what I mean is, he forced himself into that main event. He told the entire universe, World Heavyweight Championship, most important thing, always has to be last. So him and Chris Jericho, a lot of new fans don't even realize this happened, went on after The Rock and Hulk Hogan. And I think for years and years and years, that is stuck in Triple H's crawl, because he doesn't want to admit that Rock is a bigger star than him.
Yeah.
And I think that's at their core.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. I mean, that absolute great insight. They're wrestlers, man. It's the animal. I mean, and you don't know the animal unless you've been around the animal for years and years and years. I think you're spot on, man.
They will put themselves over every single time. Now, speaking of Raw and speaking of Netflix, and sometimes you have to look at things a little bit deeper than just wiping by them on social media. So the WWE this past weekend or 2 or 3 days ago. I can't remember the exact date. But anyway, they had a bunch of superstars that came out to LA and did a big media event. And there's a lot of news that came out of it. The fan-friendly stuff was one of them. But I don't know if you saw the picture or not. But there were a lot of superstars there, but all of them except for one has been full-time on WWE television. But Vince, there was one person in said picture that has not been in the WWE for damn near a year, has not had a contract for damn near a year. And that is the better half of one Seth Rollins and arguably the biggest female star in the last 15 years, Becky Lynch. And she was in the picture. What does it tell you that they've made no announcement whatsoever surrounding her contract? The female division, they're making all these changes without enough talent. And she, not the other women, Bianca was, but she was there above a lot of the other women. What do you make of that?
So, Coach, Saturday night's main event comes before Netflix, correct?
Correct. December 14th, then January 6th.
That picture right there tells me she may be coming out at Saturday night's main event.
Interesting.
For them to put this picture out and it's going to get around and people are going to talk about it, I would not be surprised if they played this card at Saturday night's main event.
It would be smart. It
would be.
The female division. And I don't know if they're, with adding the two titles and doing tournaments at the same time, which is ridiculous to me when you only have about 12 women that are at that level. And I don't even think there's that many, to be honest. I'm trying to be nice. But when you have a star who's main evented WrestleMania sitting on the sidelines, and I made a statement that I got misquoted, as always, by the dirt sheets, where they said, Coach said that WWE offered her $2 million. I never said that. I said that, in my opinion, based off the numbers that we know about, she would ask for north of $2 million. Clearly, Vince, they didn't want to pay her because they also in the UFC, and they're notorious for not paying fighters either. And I wonder if Becky has now won the standoff.
Or they won the standoff. Yeah, Coach, it's interesting because Coach, what were we just talking about? Coach,
money.
Listen, I don't know if you're on the same page as this. I'm going to ask you this question because what we're talking about here is ego. Coach, I don't know how many times I've heard people who are no longer in the business or out for a certain period of time or retired or whatever. All I ever hear is how they miss, going out in front of those people. And Coach, I got to be honest with you because I don't relate to that at all. I hated being a performer on television.
Did you really?
Hated it.
What did you hate the most?
It took away from my writing.
The writing?
It really took away. Trying to split two jobs was a huge mistake. I would never make it again. But I never experienced everything with me was always about a job. I got a job. I got to go out and cut this promo because my job is to get so-and-so over. But you always hear how much they... So who knows? I mean, who knows who won this standoff?
So the last time I saw her was on Ariel Helwani's show. And I remember he was asking, it was right before WrestleMania. She was doing a bunch of press, and he was asking her about the contract. And she was like, oh, I'll be back. I'm not going anywhere. And she was very emphatic about getting that deal done. And then as the summer went by, I thought, well, maybe she's just taking the summer off because she's got a new baby at home that's no longer a small baby anymore. And then you get to the fall, and I was like, well, we get past SummerSlam, then we get to, and I was like, where is Becky Lynch? I'll be honest with you, I never looked at it from your perspective. Yeah. I always thought that they had to give in. But with the way that TKO goes about their business, and they just spend another $3 billion on other businesses, they don't like to reward the talent that builds the businesses that they have. And whether they want to admit it or not, whenever you see Dana White, he'll be like, well, John Jones and Conor McGregor, and it's always the same two names. Yeah. What about the other 99% of the fighters who just had to sue to get like $300 million in back pay? And I don't know the whole details. But my point is, it's the same company that owns them now. So if Becky was sitting at home, you might be right. Maybe she said, and it's got to be a little awkward, wouldn't you think, that her husband or boyfriend, I don't know if they're married or not, Seth Rollins, is still one of the biggest stars for the WWE, and he is on TV every single week. Do you find that, you think that's a little bit awkward backstage?
Well, Coach, you may be missing a bigger story.
Okay.
Could I ask producer man to pull that picture back up? Producer man, if you would you please pull it? Because I think Coach may be missing a bigger picture. Now, Coach, you look at this picture and you see Becky Lynch.
Yes.
I look at this picture. Here's the question I'm asking myself. Is the sun in Seth Rollins' eyes? You think the sun isn't? What a freaking goofball, man, bro! You're on stage with all the executives of the company. You're representing Netflix, and you're wearing sunglasses, bro. Get over yourself. Get over yourself. You're not over. You think you're over because they sing your ridiculous song. You're not over. Get over yourself. Take the freaking sunglasses off, you goof. All right, go ahead, Coach. I had to get that out.
I'll always let you get it out because it always cracks me up.
Okay.
It's funny how, I always worked with a lot of guys that always felt like they were in character. And I feel like Seth feels like he's in character all the time, when clearly I think Cody's probably the best at putting on multiple hats for the company. I think he's the ultimate face. And if you notice, who's in the middle of the picture?
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes.
I call it the hood ornament of the company. Who is the hood ornament of the company?
Interesting. I'm going to steal that, by the way.
Yes.
It's clearly Cody Rhodes. He's the one they're putting on. He's the one. You don't hear anybody else except for executives talk about the business except for him.
Right.
They sent him out when Triple H didn't go to Germany to address all of the business that they did in Germany. So I always leave Cody there, and I would, there's a huge part of me, Vince, that would love to be a fly on the wall in a lot of these meetings right now, just to hear the conversations, to see how they're deciding on how they're moving forward with all of this kind of stuff.
Right.
Wouldn't you just a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on, Coach. You and I both know, like, as much as we talk about it, the politics is the best part of the business.
The best.
Absolutely. Who's stabbing who in the back and being their friend in front of their place. I mean, come on. That's the best part of the business, man.
It's so funny, Vince, that you would say the stabbing in the back, the politics, because that evolves right into our next topic here on the show. And as much as is going on with the WWE, the AEW, not so much. And another story came out yesterday. And at first, I thought it was Nick Nemeth. I was like, this is a guy I said, what does Nick Nemeth have to do with CM Punk? It's not Nick Nemeth. So this was headlines. And apparently Rick Nemeth has sent, or he's accusing AEW of making him a sacrificial lamb, putting him on the bench, and forcing them to fire CM Punk because of some of the backstage antics that were going on. And I don't know if he's going to sue. I have no idea. All I know is this is front page news. And AEW, if they don't have bad news going on, they've got no news going on.
Well, Coach, this story is a little twofold.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what, here's the biggest problem, Coach, and I'm not telling you anything you already don't know. I remember the day that I read this, and I'm going back 5 years.
Okay.
Tony Khan walks in, and he names 4 wrestlers as executive vice presidents. You are an idiot. Right now we've got a huge problem. And it's not just one guy, it's 4 guys. So now you got 4 of the boys who are always executive vice presidents. And that's a lot of this lawsuit because his dealings were with CM Punk, who clearly had an executive position in the company. So now he's dealing with CM Punk, and it's like, but wait a minute, he's also one of the boys I'm in competition with. So that creates an absolute mess. But also, I mean, Coach, let's be honest, and you and I, we can't help ourselves. You see Tony Khan and you see Vince McMahon. Now, if this were Vince McMahon, you and I both know McDivitt would run circles and drag this thing out for months and years until he broke the person. They were poor and could not continue to keep the lawsuit going. Tony Khan has set the precedent. I'm a billionaire. I got so much money, I don't know what to do with it. I'm going to pay Rebecca DeMonet $15 million. He has opened himself up for lawsuits like this because guys know he's going to settle, Coach. He's going to settle for this thing to go away. He's going to throw a couple of $1 million their way. And so he's very, very smart to be doing this because Tony set the precedent.
Vince was famous for spending the big joke backstage was always he'll spend $1 million to save $1 so as to not set the precedent that you can come back after him. And I was involved in two that had nothing to do with me. I was just a witness. And I was like, man, I always thought to myself, it would be a lot easier if he just wrote a check. But when you look at it from, I guess, his side of the desk, not my money, not for me to say, but you are spot on. And the fact that this stuff is resurfacing all these years later, now that CM Punk is now in such good graces at the other place, he absolutely wants this story to go away. So if you can throw a little bit of money at it, and to him, $2 million or $3 million is just a little bit of money,
right?
Then that's probably what they are going to do. And if you're Rick Nemeth, I honestly don't really know too much about him. And for any wrestler, if you get that kind of payout, you're going to walk away and try to go somewhere else. And it is what it is. But I hate when these stories, because there's already enough negativity out there, and especially for them, that hopefully this story just kind of goes away. They get paid off and everybody can kind of move on. Now, the bigger issue of why they wanted to move on, because they got to deal with a lot of things. And here at Coach and Bro, our next couple of segments, couple of topics on Friday. Can't wait for Werewolves, the movie.
Do you remember when Daddy used to tell you that story about the 3 little pigs and the big bad wolf? Do you remember why the big bad wolf couldn't get in the house?
Because it was made of bricks?
Just like your house.
Whatever happens tonight, remember it is my choice.
I know.
We have a 9-hour window to test and record our findings. Good luck tonight.
Nice Christmas movie. Nice Christmas movie. December 6th.
Right?
Coming to a theater near you. Very nice.
I think that last shot was a shot of Tony Khan when he saw the latest ticket sales around this great country of ours. Vince, I spend way too much time on social media planning for this show, and I could not believe this. January 8th. So 2 days after the WWE will be sold out at the brand new Intuit Dome, I believe they call it, out here in Los Angeles, a $2 billion building for the Clippers and all these things. They're going to be filling that up. All the big stars are going to be there. Do you know where Dynamite for AEW is going to be 2 days later after that? January 8th, which, by the way, was my very first day on WWE television in 2000. Wow. January 8th, me and The Rock.
So 25th year anniversary.
Oh my God! Oh, do you have to say it like that? I
wow,
didn't even think about it.
That's awesome. Not a coach. That's that's legendary, man. That's awesome.
It is. I'm still aging like a fine wine, no wrinkles, still looking like I'm 25. But Vince, I looked this up. Clarksville, Tennessee. You can't make it.
Wait a minute! Isn't that the train the monkeys took? Was that the last train to Clarksville? Is that where I was always wondering where Clarksville was for the last 35 years?
Well, apparently it's in Tennessee because I didn't know that either.
Yes.
So the setup, not how many tickets have been sold, the setup, 2,177 people. That's the setup. So far, they have distributed, not sold, distributed 699 tickets. Vince, if I see one more post from an AEW mark telling me that they have a $185 million TV deal and everything is good, I'm going to lose my mind. You can't put 2,000 people in your marquee show. Can't do it. What's going on?
Guys, if you take anything away from the Coach and Bro show, please take this away. Guys, you really have to start understanding. Coach, you and I are in, we are in entertainment.
Yes.
Guys, look at entertainment right now. Look at your networks. Look at your social media. Look at your streaming. Look at your cable outlets. Guys, content is king. Everybody wants content. So if you can provide content, somebody is going to pay you for that content. You are a content creator. They need content. They're going to pay you for that content. Guys, that doesn't mean that the content is good. It means that they need content to fill time. So Tony Khan, AEW, yes, they are content creators. Yes, that content has a value to TBS and TNT. That does not mean the content is good. And obviously the content is not good if they can't sell tickets and nobody's watching the show. Will you please understand the two? Just because they are providing content and networks need content doesn't mean that it's good content.
When you can hear pins drop in the arena, and Wednesday night, Vince, and I've really been trying. I mean, my parents called and they yelled at me. They said, Coach, Jonathan, why are you coming down on some of these talents? And my mother, school teacher, 45 years, of course she watches the Coach and Bro show. I said, Mom, what else am I supposed to do? They give me nothing else. Mercedes Moné or Sasha Banks, whatever you want to call it. The other night, you could hear a pin drop when she was in the ring doing a promo. Then for some inexplicable reason, she tipped off she was getting ready to get slapped by throwing her title onto the ground behind her, which I've never seen a champion do in the history of my time in the business, surrounding the business. And this is why fans, when they watch from home, even though there is this nearly $200 million deal, I would contend, Vince, just like you believe that Triple H may not be at the WWE for past 2025, I don't think the AEW will survive their TV deal. And can you imagine how awful it must be to be backstage and your show starts and you look out and it looks like it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon? I mean, that must be just so disheartening.
And Coach, you and I both know when you're talking contracts like this, Coach, there's loopholes in these contracts. If they want to get out after year 2, year 3, there is always a loophole to get out.
They are right now. There are so many different ways, in my opinion, that this could go. And when you are a company that lost the NBA and you've got the NHL and you just said content is king, even if it's on the low end of the totem pole, maybe they said, hey, $185 million a year is worth it to us because the NBA is going for billions.
Right.
Billion. Maybe they look at it that way. That's the way they have to look at it. But going forward, you also have to look at it and say, just because we have content, is that content being watched? And I saw numbers for their other two shows. Is it Collision and whatever the other one is, 140,000
I know.
and 120,000. And don't want to toot my own horn, but toot, toot. When they announced this Saturday show, I said on social media, it will never work. Oh, you're an idiot. You've been gone for too long. You don't know. I said, I know. I tried 3 shows on Saturdays at the WWE, and none of them worked because people don't watch TV on Saturdays unless it's football or the NFL on Sundays. It doesn't work, and that show is not working.
Yeah.
And so they're at an all-time low in viewership for all 3 of their brands. And I don't know if they can recover, which would not be good news for the WWE. But fans think it would be. They're, if that goes away, WWE wins. They don't win that way.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah. Nah, Coach, they don't. And man, again, think about this, man. You know, you hit the nail on the head, Coach. When you look at the price tag of this, it's very inexpensive compared to legitimate sports. So I understand the deal makes sense. I get it. But I mean, my God, Coach, they're in a quandary. Like, what do you do when nobody's watching the show? I mean, do you continue to air a show that nobody's watching?
That's a great question, because Dynamite this week was down below 600,000, by the way. And that's going to be fascinating, Vince, because I mean, WWE, and this is also good for WWE in this instance, because their viewership is not super high right now either, but it's much, much higher than AEW, and they have the deal in place for $5 billion, so they hide behind that. Right. You're not hiding behind a $185 million TV deal. You can only tout that for so long.
Yeah.
But Vince, what if they get, hypothetically, you tell me what you think, if they get down to say 300,000 on Wednesday night? I mean, what is the number where you seriously have to walk into Tony Khan's office and say, hey, Tony, unless you can turn this thing around in the next X amount of time, we've got to take you off? And I think, to me, it would be that 300,000 number.
Yeah, I mean, Coach, I really think they're getting dangerously close to it, where a decision has to be made. And here's the sad part. You're asking that question to a guy who's learned nothing in 5 years. So he would not have a clue of how to turn this thing around. So now you're in a position where you keep seeing these numbers diminish, and you got a guy in control that just does not have a clue. So what makes you think that they're going to turn around anytime soon?
I don't. And that sucks, because I've been through the time where WCW was off the air. I've been through it where there was only one company. One ends up happening. And Vince, this could be catastrophic for contracts for WWE Talent. When WCW went out of business in 01 or 02, whatever the year was, all the money for talent, except for a few, went severely down. There were guys like Brock and Kurt Angle that still made premium money. But for the B and C listers, Vince was like, you don't like your 300 grand? Go try to make 300 grand somewhere else. And if this happens and they would go out of business, what do you think TKO, when they're still paying $4 billion back for the UFC, which they severely overpaid for? You've got all these other companies like the Pro Bull Riding Tour that they just bought. So you've got to pay all this money back. Are you really going to pay your talent top dollar if you know there's not another place to go that's overpaying talent right now? Because that's exactly what Tony Khan has done. You get guys like the Hurt Syndicate. How much do you think Bobby Lashley's making? He's worth it, but how much do you think he's making? An MVP, Shelton Benjamin. Edge is getting ready to come back after his TV show. You got Kenny Omega. I guarantee you his check still shows up every week, even though he hasn't. So you got all these guys. How much do you think the average number drops at WWE if AEW goes out of business?
Coach, I'm poking a hole in your story right now.
Oh, my gosh.
Because you just said it and you really did. You know, Coach, I know. Listen, they call you Midas on the court, bro, because everything you touch turns to gold. Coach, they call you Midas. You just threw out an unbelievable idea, and you didn't even realize it. I shouldn't even smarten you up. This could be money in my pocket.
What did I say?
Bro, with all the businesses that Endeavor owns, bro, you throw Darby Allin on a killer bull? Coach, come on. One man comes out alive. Darby Allin or the bull. Coach,
he would do it too. He would
money.
absolutely do it.
That's money, Coach, right there.
Were you shocked by the way that he was actually behind the wheel of the car at the end of the show the other night? It was really
Coach,
him.
listen, unlike you, I don't watch anything they don't pay me to watch, Coach. Coach, this is the God honest truth. I watched AEW for the first year and a half, every show. Then my 60th birthday came. And I said, I cannot waste another minute of my life watching this show. It's going to be 4 years in January. I have not watched an AEW show.
And what's embarrassing about that, it's not on you. It's the fact that we can really get everything we want from social media, all of the clips, because I'm with you. I can't sit through that. And I can't sit through NXT, to be honest with you. I watch SmackDown. I watch Raw. We talk about the bigger stories. If people notice, we don't talk about segment. A lot of shows are like, here's what happened segment 1, segment 2. No, we like to talk about the bigger part of the business. And the fact that when was the last positive AEW story we talked about? Costco guys?
Yeah. That's a shoot. Yeah.
By the way, did you see the latest video of the Costco guys and who they were? I think I've got to eat a little bit of crow. I'm being dead serious. They just did a video, and you're my baseball guy. They had a home run hitting contest with Bryce Harper. I kid you not.
Good for those guys. Good for those guys. Seriously, man. If you
they're starting to grow me a little bit.
Yeah,
they really, really are.
For you. I mean, I'm all about that. I'm all for that, Coach. I am though, Coach. I do want to say, man, I am riveted with one current storyline on WWE.
What's that?
That is under the radar. Yeah, everybody's seeing, all this other stuff, rock or no rock, this, that, and the other thing. This one is totally under the radar, and this is the one that's got me.
Oh wow! What is it?
Based on this last Monday's show, I believe Sami Zayn is in love with Jey Uso. I honestly believe that. When you are a grown man saying you can't talk to him like that, bro, I'm telling you, Coach, I'm telling you, that story is going to develop. That Sami Zayn is not that there's anything wrong with that, Coach. Let's put that out there.
Of course not.
I think Sami Zayn is in love with Jey Uso.
I'm
looking forward to that.
I can't watch Sami Zayn right now without laughing because I always think about you. I always thinking about you. And I know you saw this, and I was dying laughing. And my kids were like, Dad, what are you laughing? I said, it would take too long to explain because I'm thinking about you, that they have the post-Survivor Series press conference, and somebody decided to just shoot CM Punk as they were all up there as the winning team. Sami Zayn spoke one answer for over 5 minutes. And they did the video in such a way that it was like drowning him out. It was like you just hear him in the background.
Yeah.
And CM Punk was just looking for some food and then looking at Sami like, shut the hell up. Like, this is not about you. The end of the Survivor Series match, that's what people were talking about, not the fact that you were in it.
Right.
But Sami, you can't tell Sami that. He acted like he was the team captain.
Yeah.
He was like, any questions, anybody? I was like, oh my God. CM Punk's ready to kill him sitting over there.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh man. It is, all of this gives us so much content for you and I to talk about.
Oh God.
And
yes.
I can't even imagine being in it every day. I can't imagine being in it every week. I can't imagine being back there traveling. And God forbid, if I was an AEW talent right now, and I've got a lot of friends over there, you still know a lot of guys over there. I've been so wanting to text them or call them and say, hey, how's it going? Or, but I know professionally a lot of times, and you said the word, they're wrestlers. Mm-hmm. And wrestlers, a lot of their self-worth and a lot of their identity, because it is 52 weeks a year, is based off of where they're at in the company that they wrestle for.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to call any of my friends because right now, other than the paycheck, But eventually that starts to get old too, because you're like, I don't have a future here. And
Right.
that's how most of them have to feel right now. Right?
Yeah, no, Coach, and again, if they're business savvy and with social media, we have to be business savvy.
Have to be.
How are you not sitting there considering what this is doing to your overall brand? I mean, why do you think ball
You mean
plays?
their personal brands within the brand or the overall AEW brand?
No, their personal
Oh,
brands.
personal brand,
I mean,
right.
Coach, how many times we're in free agency now in baseball? How many times do you hear guys say, "I want to play on a winner. I want to play"? They're going to get the same contracts from all these people. What are they making a decision on? A winner. So, I mean, you got to worry about your brand beyond AEW. And do you really want to be looked at as, oh, that was the guy that wrestled for AEW? I just think branding is very, very important. I think it's more important than the current paycheck.
I agree with you, because the paycheck comes and goes, and certain guys
That's right.
at certain levels, they do understand. Even if they go to the independents, if you're at a certain level like Matt Cardona and Nemeth,
Right.
those guys are making a lot of money still.
Yeah.
Now, doing the independents and booking yourself, that's a pain in the ass.
Right.
But by the way, I don't know if you've ever seen this, and I got to send it to you because you're kind of like my you become like a big brother to me. So I know that there's certain things like technology you're really not into. That's what I'm here for. Me and producer man. There is this account on social media that I can't wait every Thursday to get to it. And this guy, his favorite line, he's clearly a black guy, and he voices over bad things that happen in AEW, right? And his favorite line, it should be called, the segment should be called "Get the F Out of Here." And because I don't like saying the F word on the air, but he'll do something bad or something bad. He'll stop the video and go, "Get the F out of here" with that stuff. And it's just, I'm telling you, if people find that, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Vince, every week the video gets longer and longer and longer and
Yeah.
longer. And I can't get enough of it. And he says everything that we have to really watch what we say sometimes. Like, we can't swear, because we have a lot of shows, a lot of brands. I work for, but people at home, they don't have to worry about that when they're just voicing stuff over. This guy says everything that I wish you and I could say.
Yeah.
Everything.
Coach, I before I came on here today, we did our show with Al Snow, and we always look at bad footage.
I love that show. By the way. That's my favorite
there
one.
was one today that was AEW. And Coach, here's my problem, because, you and I both love sports. I mean, sports is your livelihood and your background. Yes. Coach, when I'm watching, the Big Four, you're watching professionals. If you ain't a professional, you ain't there. There's no politics. There's no, I'm putting my favorite wrestler on this. You got to perform. We are watching the best in the game.
Correct.
When I look at the WWE and I look at AEW, these are supposed to be the two greatest wrestling companies in the world. So
Correct.
I am expecting to see the greatest wrestlers in the world. Coach, I'm seeing amateurs. I don't see amateurs in professional sports. I see pros. And that's what drives me crazy. I watch myself watching these shows every week, and I'm like, these are the best in the world. These are the best wrestlers in the world. Dakota Kai is one of the best wrestlers in the world. Coach, I hate, and you are like me when it comes to this. The guy that says, "Get the F out of here." Bro, I'm not lowering any bars for anybody. I don't accept mediocre. I don't accept mediocre for myself.
100%.
And that's what they've done, Coach. They've lowered the bar where mediocrity is now great.
Anybody that works with me, I drive them crazy, because I'm like, we're on year one of a 25-year build. Right. But I don't give a damn what day it is. You better bring your best stuff.
Right.
And if it's not, then ask, or we'll help you, and you have a great history. I have a long history as a talent, over 20, almost 25 years now on national television. I was 22 years old. Ask us. But
Yeah.
the rib is on AEW, by the way, because they both have bad performers. But they literally started branding themselves where the best in the world
Yeah,
wrestle.
man. Oh,
It's a
my
rib on themselves.
God.
It's a rib on themselves.
It is, man. It really is.
I'm so glad you brought up Dakota Kai because we now have Coach and Bro Show is now on the same page as Beyond the Turnbuckle. You guys have found it. Amazing viewership. But we're also going to be doing several little videos, like 5 to 10 minute videos on little topics. I call them snackables. And this week, we're going to be doing a video on a video that was released, Vince, that had Nia Jax in it and a bunch of the female talent behind. And our question is it a work? Or is it a shoot? And I can't wait for people, and I can't wait to ask you that question after you see the video, because I can't tell what it is. I can't tell what it is. So people need to go to our page to find that. Also, we'll be sending out links every single day. You guys will be able to find it. We're just changing a few things, but the show will not change with him and myself. By the way, where the pros are the pros. I think I may steal that one too. I find myself saying that all the time because that's how I found you a few months ago before we became friends. Where the pros are the pros.
Right. That's and that's where I got it from. Watching amateurs every week. That's where I got it from.
Wow. Well, I got it from watching the first match at War Games at Survivor Series, which, by the way, that was the female match, if people didn't know. Real quick, because you mentioned the pros when you watch the Big Four, and it's something I didn't get a chance to ask you. For people who didn't see the show on Monday, I'm even more shocked after a few days has gone by that we didn't see Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, KO, any of these guys. And somebody said, well, Coach, they're saving their pop for Saturday night's main event. Somebody said it to me on social media. Vince, what would you say to somebody that they're saving their pop?
Oh my God. I was just trying to figure out. I was trying to figure out me writing a Survivor Series show and handing it to Vince without the Rock or Austin in it, and what his response to me would have been. That's what I was trying to figure. Hey, Coach, I want to go real quick to your betting expertise.
Yes.
Are there actually lines on who Juan Soto is going to? And who's the favorite at this point?
So I just got a text before we started doing the show from Raphael, our numbers guy. And I will read it for you word for word.
Okay.
MLB source says that Soto could sign with the Mets over the weekend. If he doesn't sign by the beginning of the winter meetings, which are next week, it will give the Red Sox and the Yankees a chance to get back in the running. So it looks like it is the Mets' race to lose with Juan Soto. He wouldn't have to leave town. I think how the Yankees treated Aaron Judge, the Yankees fans, at the end of the year is affecting this decision.
Yeah.
But probably next Wednesday. In fact, next Wednesday on DTL, we'll look at the odds if he hasn't signed already, and we'll talk about it when you're on the show. But
interesting. Yeah, I've been saying Mets all along because, you take Alonso's salary out of that. I can't see them being outbid. I just can't. I've been saying the Mets all along.
I love when billionaire owners, because I'm a huge Royals fan, and if I was a billionaire, and I don't know how you feel about this, but if I'm 75 years old, because in Kansas City, our owner was a big Walmart guy. He cashed in 3% of his stock, 3%, to buy the team for like $95 million, which means that if you do the multiplication, he's worth several billion dollars. Well, if I'm 75 years old and I've only got a few years left to kick it, why wouldn't I do everything in my power to build a winner? And in the Mets, they've got a new owner who spends money. He's like, hey, listen, I want to be a winner. I'm a competitor. And I love owners like that. I can't stand owners that are super rich, buy a team, then go, yep, we're not going to spend it. Let's run it like a business. You're making your money over here. Spend it over here.
And think about that for a second, guys, and think about everything we've said about Tony Khan on this show. What did the Mets do like literally 2 years ago? They paid out the wazoo Verlander and Scherzer. And everybody, they're going to run away with this thing. Come mid-season trading deadline, these two guys were not working out. And what did they do? They cut them loose. God, that's what Tony Khan needs to learn.
A lot of them. He could be saving a lot of money in salaries.
Yes.
Using guys that are sitting at home. Ricky Starks, you're going to be petty with him. A lot of people. And last topic, as long as we're talking baseball, because nobody likes a dominant business. And that's what WWE would be if AEW went away. But out here, you know who's getting shredded in baseball right now? I think the Dodgers thought it was going to be, hey, it's all love. But they signed Blake Snell, 5 years, $180 million, like $30 million a year. They've gotten all of it's deferred just about. Shohei, all of it's deferred just about. And so now California, the state, is thinking about making rules where you can't defer that income, because if these players go live in Florida in 5 years, that income is in Florida and it's not here. It's a way to get around the taxes. But I wasn't even talking about the taxes. I'm talking about the fact that Blake Snell, who could have gone anywhere, a Cy Young Award winner, decided because his wife wanted to live in the LA area. You already lived in San Diego. There's no difference. And so he signs with a dominant team with several players making north of $30 million a year. What happened to competition and wanting to compete?
Yeah, I keep asking myself that too, Coach. I mean, everybody wants to play for the Dodgers. For what? I would want to play to the for the underdog. That I would want to play for the Padres. I would want to play for the Diamondbacks. What's the point of playing with the Harlem Globetrotters if they're never going to lose?
And this year, the Padres came within one game. They had a lead on the Dodgers in the playoffs and then lost 2 in a row to allow the Dodgers to move on. I don't get, I'll never agree with it, but nobody's offered me $180 million either. So there is that.
Yet, Coach, yet.
Yes.
Yet.
That's true. That's true.
Okay.
The show's growing. We're going to get there. We drop an episode every single Monday and Thursday. We're now on currently, maybe temporarily, maybe for the long haul, the Behind the Turnbuckle page. We are creating a spot where you go to the page and you'll find all the Coach and Bro shows right there together. Just give us a little bit of time. We only have so many hands and so many people, but it's important to us. This show is important to us. That's why we moved it from where we were to where we are now. For Vince Russo, producer man who really does all the hard work behind the scenes, I am the Coach. We will see you Monday on the next Coach and Bro show. Take care.